past me.
Yeah.
No, you should not. You should be.
Recording in
there.
progress.
Ice cream.
I know, well, only because there was a mistake on the calendar,
So you have to volunteer next time to make.
which
it
I
up.
will.
Is Mary not here tonight?
You know, the medical stuff is my forte here, so.
No, to be volunteer, so
I know.
you know how they do
Hey
it.
Trace,
Yeah.
yo, is Mary not here tonight?
No.
She's
Yeah,
here,
she was
okay.
up there. She was talking to Keisha.
She has a meeting, I think.
I don't know, I was sad because I wanted to see all the people.
Yes, you missed them. It was
And
a
all
lot
the,
of fun.
It's going.
It was bigger
people I
class.
took class
It's
with.
going.
And you missed the group photos.
I probably wasn't there today.
Nobody
I was in and out. I was in and out.
would've ran down there.
And I grabbed
I
the
swear,
wrong.
But it was on my
bag,
calendar for the
and
18th.
I had it for a cert.
I had a crap.
Anyway, I planning to call
You know
you
what?
because I was planning
There's a
to
lot
order
to
copy
complain
and ask
about,
you
but
to
there's
pick
a
it up
lot
for
to be
all.
grateful for.
Anyway.
You should have, here, I'm even gonna show you that I'm not lying.
Good.
Oh, pretty red, I love
I
that.
know, I haven't seen you
Like,
read the
usually
law.
it's like powerhouse boss lady.
Radiant.
Okay, so I'm laughing because, look what I found in my garage in my golf swag bag from the tournament that you had the deal on. I showed this shoe that I got this because I thought it was so cute, you had to have it in your life. And apparently I didn't.
And they asked the
I thought I
sheriff,
left it with you
I
that
went
day
and
with
get
your
copied and they
champagne.
asked DoorDash to bring it for us.
Oh, did you?
It's girls. Anyway. So, yeah, you gotta take home tonight. I'm not leaving with that again.
Kate says she's on her way.
I got engaged this weekend.
Congratulations.
Your daughter did? Yeah, nice.
So we had 40 people at our house Friday night, Saturday night.
Ah. That's so cool. Congratulations.
Why can't I get my computer on?
How are you feeling?
To my mouse.
Okay. Sup, Mayor?
Uh-huh.
What's the IT guy's name?
Noah.
Noah.
It's recorded now.
You mean the community's gonna hear us about how happy and positive we are?
I'm stuck on this.
Oh my gosh, I know. Terrible.
No. Oh, okay, there we go.
You might have timed out.
Oh, I was gonna tell Cheryl I'm in her spot because when I drove in this morning, there was somebody blocking.
Oh, your spot?
Yeah.
I said, do I park there, do I not park there? Well, I'll go up and ask, cause I figured maybe somebody was in here.
Yeah, they were.
And I thought, well, if she wants to move, I can go down.
No, I'm sorry, I meant to tell you that was
Oh, that's okay.
Unacceptable, Mayor.
unacceptable, I know.
There she goes, using her power and title again.
That's me. All over the place.
I'm extra sarcastic today. It's all right. I'm feeling a little, you're like, there's times where it's extra?
No, the
Filled in.
Why am I spontaneous?
Not Lisa.
Are we rolling? That's adorable.
Are we ready?
Whenever you're ready.
Good evening. I'm going to call the City Council study session for October 13th, 2025 to order. Sean, can you do roll, please?
Deputy Mayor Rakes.
Here.
Councilmember Ammer.
Here,
Councilmember Baldwin.
She will be here.
Councilmember Sturgis.
Here.
Councilmember Clinton Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Troutman Moe.
here.
Thank you. Do we have any agenda modifications tonight?
No, Chair.
Okay, under announcements, reports, and presentation, I'm going to turn this over to Director Crum for the Auburn Area Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I'm going to call up Jen Francis, our Economic Development Manager.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, Council, Mayor. I'd like to introduce our speaker tonight, Casey Bray, who is the Executive Director of the Auburn Area Connect Chamber of Commerce, and she'll be giving her presentation.
Hi, everyone. I am feeling a little
under the weather, so I'm just letting you guys know that ahead of time. Thanks, Jen. So we're just gonna kind of go over the overview of, we have a economic development contract with the city where we help with economic development and just our business community as a whole. That first slide there just talks about some of our events that we have. So we do Business Connect events once a month. And those events take place at different locations every single month. And these are kind of just the numbers behind it, how many attendees we've had throughout the events this year. We have 2 more upcoming, one in November and then also one in December. How many businesses are connected through that? We collect business cards, and so that we can see who has attended that. And by looking through those business cards, we've had 63 different businesses attend those events. We give out prizes every time. It's just a great way for people to network. If you haven't been to one, I highly recommend it. We also do a Auburn Area Connect Spotlight Awards event. That is a way for us to recognize people that are either doing something wonderful in our communities, or businesses that are doing things that are just above and beyond. Those awards, people send in their nominations, and then our board and our committee, they vote on those nominations. I think the great thing about it is it doesn't have to be a chamber member, so that we are showcasing and highlighting businesses throughout our community. This year we had our 100-year celebration. So the chamber has been around for 100 years. And we showcase businesses throughout the decades with pictures for every decade. Sourcing those pictures was a lot of fun. A little tricky when you're getting in the 1920s, but a lot of fun. We had 98 people attend that event as well. And then we also do ribbon cuttings for our businesses and our business community. We had one at Risotto's Coffee. That one was a rainy but fun event because we all got to have a cup of coffee in our hands. And then Circle Creek Therapy, their new location, which is fabulous. And that was a great event with 53 attendees. And then we also have a ribbon cutting that is coming up for the Resort Med Spa and Wellness Center that we're super excited about. I already had my face scanned to tell me how old I am. I will not let you guys know how old they told me. But it's just a great resort spa that we have in our community, so super excited about that. We also do a Connect Golf tournament every year. It's a great way for us to raise funds for anything from doing things in our schools or Leadership Institute. And we had 112 golfers. That was a rainy day as well. And we had 22 different business sponsors throughout it. So it's a great way for businesses to connect and also for them to market themselves. This year, we wanted to try something, kind of a way of trying to get the brand of Auburn, just Auburn out there. So what we started doing, and you'll see, I provided you guys some stickers and some buttons that we've already done, but it's just that love and that feel for Auburn. So we've created over 20 designs, and at events, we are selling shirts and hats and stickers and just ways of just promoting the Auburn area, and soon they will be up on our new website. It's going to be, we're hoping for the beginning of November, so people can purchase Auburn merch. And another way that we just kind of grow economic development is by getting out there and connecting with different organizations, whether it's sitting on boards or committees. And so this just kind of breaks down some of those committees that we sit on or boards.
And I think advocacy is such a big thing, and being a part of these is a way for us to advocate. Oh, are you looking for something? No. Okay.
I'll get there.
Got it. Oh, so one thing that we have is I'm big on looking at what we're doing when it comes to the numbers. And so here's some key numbers. Some of the things I kind of just want to highlight is, and I couldn't tell you why, but we had a 172% increase on social media views, which is a huge increase. And that's just, I mean, that's from last year, all of 2024, and we're only, we pulled these numbers in September. So huge increase in social media followers and views. Our Facebook has 2.3K followers. Instagram has 1,054. So it's a great way for us to use digital media for us to tell people about Auburn, events that are taking place in Auburn, and just why it's special to be a part of this community. We send out email blasts weekly. Those email blasts go to anybody who is a subscriber. Currently, right now, we have 5,663 email contacts that we send those out to. And it's a great way for us to connect people to other businesses in our community, or also events that are happening, or important information, whether it be road closures, or it could have something to do with if they need to know more about safety, right? So we're always trying to make sure that our community knows the important information about being a part of our community and also engaging in our community. And that is a brief overview. Does anyone have any questions on how we drive economic development to Auburn, but also mainly to Jen? We did put up a brand new website this year, kind of forced to, because our website provider that's been providing our website for 7 years ended up having to shut down. And it was a very quick thing that we got told about. So built a brand new website. On that website is a direct link. It has a tab that says economic development. It talks a little bit about economic development in our area, but then it also links to your guys' beautiful economic development website. So how we can increase views to you guys getting new businesses here is something that we're passionate about as well. Yes.
Lisa, go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, Chair. Question, could you talk a little bit more about what the Leadership Institute is and how much it costs and how folks could participate? It's such an amazing program that I would love people to know more about that.
So the Leadership Institute is something that is for emerging leaders. And we actually have it facilitated by George Frazier from Green River College. And I'm passionate about it. I went through the program myself the first year that I started at the Chamber, and I thought it was a great way to connect and get to know people, but also have those other business leaders in your community that you can reach out to and just network or ask questions about. And they really, George does a wonderful job of really trying to train the people already in our community to use their leadership voice. That's how I feel. It's a great program. We are actually starting the next cohort in January, and we just got those dates. We typically have a lot of people from the city actually that attend the Leadership Institute, and we're just really proud of it. I'm really thankful for George and that program because it's something different than I've ever had as training. So I really encourage people to go to it. It's $1,500, but we also, one of the things that we do is provide scholarships for it. I really feel like we have leaders here that need to be able to participate, but maybe their company wouldn't pay for that, or potentially they're just a small nonprofit and that's not something they could fund. And so that's why we do events like our golf tournament or why we have silent auction and our spotlight awards so that we can raise funds for that, so that we can provide a scholarship.
Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. In full transparency, I'm going to ask you same questions that I asked the DAC. So can you walk me through how you measure success in the programs and events that you've had?
Yeah, so most of our stuff is calculated by numbers. I really look at data points. But then there's also those success points when I have somebody go, I met this person and now I'm moving to do business with them, right? So those ones are like those successful things that make me proud, but it's not necessarily like the data points, right? And so what we do is we calculate how many people come to these events. We also look at how many new people we're engaging as well, because I think that's an important thing to look at. And then through just social media alone, how much engagement is happening around just looking at those pictures of those, right? So that a business can understand how many, I would say, clicks or views they're getting based off of maybe just one event.
Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So as I asked the DAC, I'll ask the same question in the sense that, the city has made some really significant changes and improvements into downtown. So how are you aligning the efforts to complement and amplify the city's events and messaging so we're collectively moving together in the same direction?
Yeah, so one of the things that we focus on is having a community calendar. It's typically focused around, let's just say, like business stuff, right? But at the same time, anything that is going on that is in the city, whether it be a turkey trot or the kids' day or something like that, we are letting people know about it. And that's not just business stuff, right? But we want to make sure that people are aware of what's going on in the community and also how businesses can connect by also participating, right? So when we have those parties on the plaza, one of the big things is for me to tell our businesses, hey, this might be a great way for you to connect. Maybe have a table out there, maybe provide stuff that's free, right? Because we also did a enter to win for adults at the party on the plaza and getting people to contribute to that so that they can promote their business. So I think our major thing is talking about it through digital, but then also word of mouth when we're connecting with our businesses at these Connect events.
Let me ask one in between. Casey, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You have down 83 events promoted. How many events did the chamber do, and what other kind of events are you promoting then?
So we promote any of our members' events, right? So if we have a member, we're promoting those. We promote our city events. So if we have any kind of city events that are going on, and that could be something that takes place over at Postmark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be something that takes place at one of our parks. And then of course our Connect events. But our events that we do, so we have 12 Connect events a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we actually have 11 because the one that we do for our Spotlight Awards, we have that at the first week of June. So we don't do a Connect event. We do that Spotlight Awards kind of as our event for that month. And then we do also a golf tournament. So we make sure that we have one event a month that we are bringing our businesses together.
Councilmember Trump, Manuel.
Casey, you mentioned earlier that you track how people look at your site and how they look at what's coming into our city. Do you have a dashboard that you collect all your data on so that we could go and see, or how you just said you look at all the numbers and everything? Do you have a dashboard where you keep those numbers so that if we want to look and see how many people are actually calling or trying to find out what's going on in our city through the chamber?
Yeah, we don't keep track of calls, I'll be honest with you. If that was something that was requested from economic development, a part of that contract, we would. Right now, I'll be honest with you, my phones have been down for 2 weeks still. CenturyLink was promising me they're gonna fix them. But we have a dashboard tied to our new website. Unfortunately, because of that shutdown of the old website, we can't pull any data. That company itself is completely gone. So that happened to not just our chamber, but other chambers that worked with that company. They got bought out by somebody, and that person did not want to continue the website. They gave us a 30-day notice, let us know, and I had to build a new website. That new website, though, that we built is through Squarespace, and it has that dashboard. That new website has been up from the beginning of September. So we only have data for website stuffs like views and clicks throughs that way. We do have data, however, through social media, but we have to pull each one of those things. Like if you were looking out, that's why we give these numbers like how many social media views. But if we wanted to look at what is trending really well or what's working really well, then we'd have to look at each one of those individually.
Okay, and so would we, if we wanted to.
If you wanted to, for social media, a lot of the times you could actually just go on social media and look through and see, oh, this one has this many views or this much engagement, right? If you want more in-depth information, I think the best thing would be to reach out to us and we can look at it. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
of course.
Councilman Tracy too.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Casey, so what plans are in place to expand the chamber's support for city-sponsored events, and are we going to see a stronger collaboration and visibility into downtown?
So I guess that would be stronger, meaning what? Because for
With the collaboration with the city, like, are you working in tandem with our ECD team to say, okay, these are the events that they're going to happen, or that they're planning and they're getting ready to, or rather planning and then looking forward to into 2026? And then how is it the chamber going to partner with ECD in that space? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that we partner with them when they ask us to, right? So it's a hard thing because I'm not gonna go and set up economic development and say, hey, I wanna know everything you guys are doing, right? Because maybe that's their job. And then I have a really good working relationship, I believe, with our ECDev department, and anything that they ask me, whether it be to promote something or whether it be to push something out, done. Like that's how we work with them, because we want to make sure that we're helping with what their initiatives are, right? So their initiatives are theirs, and I wouldn't dictate those. But what I will do is always promote their initiatives. If they ask me a question, do you think this is a good idea or not? Of course, I'm always somebody that they can be a sounding board to as well.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Councilman Reed.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. And I'm curious, this is great information. And for me, when I think about economic development, I think about attracting customers through tourism. I think about helping support, like you said, the business-to-business connections, attracting new businesses and retaining existing. So in those sort of 4 areas, customers, B2B, new business, and helping existing, where would you say, you know, if you had to kind of break up where the energy goes in those areas, where do you think the chamber is bringing the most strength for those activities?
So let me because you mentioned tourism, from a tourism capacity, that is a separate thing. And so tourism itself is an LTAC funded thing. And so that is not part of what the chamber, yeah. So that's a totally separate thing.
Okay.
I would say we still at the chamber always have tourism on our mind because we have that tourism contract with LTAC. So we're always still gonna be pushing that through the chamber as well, right? But from a capacity of economic development, we really look at how are we helping our businesses that are here? And then also how are we having a voice that says Auburn is a great place for you to come and bring a business here, right? So if a business tries to reach out, or if I know about a space, I'm constantly trying to be like, hey, Jen, like I went to the Hops and Crops and I had the coolest cider place that was there and they don't have a location. I was like, hey, here's a picture of their card, contact them, they should come to Auburn because they're so cool and unique, right? So I think what we're doing is we're trying to help them any chance we get. And for me, they're they know what they're doing when it comes to talking to them, but I'm always out there scouting for them. Yeah.
Any other questions, council? Councilmember Bowden.
Sorry. I think in the follow-up for helping retain our existing businesses, because you have, feet on the ground, boots on the ground, and you're out there, all the time talking to our businesses, what are the themes that you're hearing from our businesses as far as needs that they feel like they have in this moment?
So I think it's a little bit tricky because what some of our businesses are struggling with is not necessarily a Auburn thing, right? It's a statewide thing. And so a lot of the times I'm trying to find them resources when it comes to the state. So I also participate as a board member on the South Sound Legislative Coalition for Chamber Executives. We have a lobbyist that we pay and fund through that to make sure that that lobbyist can help with business issues that we're seeing in our current climate or with our current businesses. That gives us also a door to reaching out to, I would say, state, not necessarily like city, but like at that point too, just making sure people understand that, yeah, sometimes it is tough to do business in our state. We're all gonna go through that struggle, but how beautiful and how supportive is the city of Auburn, and making that be what's showcased versus the negative that they're possibly dealing with, whether it be rising costs to just food, right? To have a restaurant, or the rising costs to have employees. So I think encouraging them to look at the good things is really the approach that I like to take.
Okay. Any other questions, Councilmember Sturgis?
Thank you. I've got a huge bias towards loving chambers, and so I of course love our Auburn Chamber. But from my perspective, just over the last couple years, there's such a high level of engagement with the business community across all of Auburn, even outside of Auburn, with our Auburn Chamber. The events are like highly attended. People, I hear constantly the golf tournament's like one of the best golf tournaments all year, and and so there's just constant positive feedback there. I'm concerned with the amount of funding for the DAC and the amount of just kind of what is your feedback on how we would do kind of pull from some of the great things that you guys are doing to engage your membership to try to grow and support the DAC in that same growth? Because I'm seeing the downtown business or the economic development team works with both organizations. And so it just feels like it's kind of siloed versus there could be like a maximizer for the downtown area. Because you're doing a great ribbon cutting for the wellness. It's right in the downtown area. How is the DAC partnering and being a part of that or supporting it? And I don't know, it's just kind of where my brain goes, is it feels that it's very siloed.
I think that you have to really look at it, they're two separate things. The downtown area is different than Auburn Area Connect. Auburn Area Connect oversees Auburn, Algona, and Pacific. We focus on connecting our members. So a chamber is, I'll be honest with you, the contract that we have with the city is very small dollars, okay? Those dollars are laid out in that contract to really support ECDEV when it comes to whether it be job fairs or whether it be events or whether it be promoting the city as a whole as a great place to live and work, or promoting city events, right? And so we focus on doing that for our city entities. And then the rest of our stuff is focused on our members. And if you're not a member, how would we fund ourselves as a chamber? Because we fund ourselves through membership. And if you're not a member, we're not going to give you the same amount of promotions, like being able to promote your business or your events on our calendar or on, let's just say, like our email blast, right? That we have to have something that makes it so that people find the chamber as a resource worth investing in. And so if you're not part of it, and I'll be honest with you, the DAC is not a chamber member. They pulled out before their membership was even, they sent us a letter and said, we don't want to be a part of it anymore. To me, that's saying that they don't think that it's worth investing in.
Okay.
So that's the voice that I heard.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the stickers.
You're welcome.
Okay. So next up is a municipal services discussion item, and the first one I'm going to turn over to Director Kruger.
Slight panic. It's okay. All good. Moving.
Do I just go down?
Not yet.
Oh, I'm
Yeah. Deputy Mayor, Council, Mayor, thank you so much for having us tonight. We are excited to present the Auburn Parks, Arts, and Recreation Opportunities for Teen Programming. With me tonight, I have Kevin Whitty, our Recreation Manager, and Monique Coquette, our Teen Program Coordinator, and they will share with you the things that we do for teens in Auburn Parks, Arts, and Recreation.
I'm Kevin. Nice to see everyone, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. So I'm the Recreation Manager. I oversee all recreation programs, but teens are a big part of that. And we obviously have the Teen Center, which we'll talk about more. So teens are a big a big chunk of my job. And then Monique is going to do a lot of the presentation because she's the one that is hands-on with it every day and lives it and breathes it. And then I'll cover some of the other things that don't necessarily fall under Monique's responsibilities towards the end. We're also going to talk about what it takes to serve teens in Auburn and the levels of staffing needed and those type of things. So to really try to give you guys a good overview of the teen programs within Auburn Parks and Arts and Recreation. So I'll let Monique take it from here for now.
Well, hi, and thank you guys for having me and us. First, we'd like to talk to you guys about our after-school program at the Rec. This program is a Monday through Friday program from 2 to 5 p.m. We operate on the school district calendar, so we are closed on weekends, holidays, and early release days. This program is offered to all middle school and high school teens who either live in Auburn or attend a school in Auburn.
And I'll add, the Rec is located at the Auburn Community Event Center. It's just adjacent, so we share space there on the Les Cove campus.
Some of the activities that we provide would be basketball, volleyball, we have a foosball table, we have a movie lounge, we have a video game lounge that's really well used. And we provide recreational activities that change from day to day just to give the kids something to look forward to. There is a free snack provided by the Auburn School District every single day, and then we also sell concessions at a reasonable cost for the kids.
So if you haven't been to the Rec, this photo that you see on the slide, there's no kids in it, right? But it's a really great kind of bird's eye view of the space if you haven't walked through. You can see the 2 TV screens in the back where we have our gaming system, the foosball table, the ping pong table. The maker space is off to the right there. You can see the back doors that open up to the park. When it's nice out, we encourage the kids to get outside. So that's just kind of, we wanted to just make sure you guys had a visual of that space.
We wanted to share with you guys just a few quotes from some of our teens that attend the Rec on a regular basis. This one is from Anila. I feel happy when I come here, energized. That's because of the activities you have here. I also feel like you can learn while you're here. It's easy to ask for help. This next one is from Titus. I feel happy when I come here. There's free food, free video games, a public space to do activities, and you get to go outside and do crafts sometimes. It's really fun. It's also cool that there's a bus I can take to get here. An area that's contributed to the success of our rec center is our strong relationship with the Auburn School District transportation team. They provide a bus from every single middle school, including 2 of our high schools, Mountain View and Riverside. And because Auburn High is so close, those teens walk to our rec center. You're going to see a flyer to the right, which is what we hand out to our parents and the schools to help teens understand how to take the bus and what's involved in it. We have faced a few challenges in this last year. One with kids being very rowdy on the bus and distracting to the bus drivers, as well as kids not entering the bus or the rec program when they arrive. We have addressed these issues by having a staff who goes out and meets the bus every single day. 1, to make sure the kids get into our program safely. And 2, to check in with our bus drivers, make sure that they feel supported and that we're taking care of any issues that may arise. At the rec, our goal is to create a safe and fun environment where every teen feels welcome, respected, and supported. This last year, we have focused on streamlining our bus transportation forms and processes, updating our rules and expectations to hold our teens accountable for their actions, strengthening our communication and problem solving, and partnering with the school district to promote our teen programs. Last year, we had 794 kids attend the rec.
7,094 visits.
Sorry. This year already, just for September, we averaged 35 to 60 teens in the rec, which is higher than the last couple years. Over the last year, we've also really worked hard on strengthening our partnerships with our existing partners and new ones. We are in every single middle school twice a month promoting our teen programs. We've also been working with the principals and vice principals at the high schools to promote our open gym for the kids who are in basketball in their off season to stay in shape at our gym. And right now we are currently in discussions with the Muckleshoot Indian tribe with their youth development program, and they are interested in bringing their kids down to our rec center. Late night. This one I really wanted to highlight as it's near and dear to my heart, where I started many years ago. This program we offer once a month, every 3rd Friday of the month. We have different themes to make it exciting for the kids and give them something to look forward to. Again, this is for every middle school and high school student who lives in Auburn or goes to school in Auburn. It's a $2 drop-in. We are from 2 to 9 p.m. And some of the things I want to highlight that we did on our last late night is we did a glow climb. So we had a rock wall open. We did a basketball tournament and had arts and crafts. We had 103 kids attend that late night, which has been our highest one for the year. Some of the things I feel that really went into making that a success would be our daily social media posts, being in the school lunches. We feature all of our programs in our rec center so that our kids know what to look forward to. And then we also put it into our recreational guide and our monthly e-blasts.
And I'll just add too that late night is not for teens who attend. I mean, it's for any middle schooler, high schooler. It's not just for the kids that come to the rec center on a daily basis. So we get a lot more participation in those monthly events.
Other teen programs that we have for camps, we do our Teens and Trips and Tween Thing during the summer. We have a winter break and a spring break camp. And then we have seasonal programs that we offer that change. This last Friday, we took the kids to Fright Fest. In December, we have an Enchant trip coming up. And then we have some new programs that are on the horizon, which would be our Rec Studios Teen Art And then we have a tween night shift, which is kind of like a parents' night out, but for our tweens who just aren't quite old enough to stay at home. We also provide open gym times on weekends for kids, so that they have something to do.
So other things that we do for teens that don't necessarily revolve around the rec center, our youth sports program in Auburn is huge, and we go all the way up to 8th grade for flag football, soccer, baseball, volleyball, and select basketball. Those programs we have hundreds of kids in that 6th to 8th grade of each of those sports that are participating and getting out and being active. Those programs are pay to play, but they're not at a private level of fee. It's recreational based, with the exception of the select basketball is part of a select basketball league. But again, our goal is to keep that affordable and to expose teens and youth to sports at a recreational level, not a competitive, think private soccer clubs, travel baseball clubs, those type of things. And then what does it take to do all of this? This is a great program that serves a lot of teens in Auburn, but it's not easy. I'm sure you all remember being teenagers and how you acted, and the language you used and the dumb things you may have done or mistakes you may have made. No, of course, not you. I'm just saying the general, of course, not council. But so what does it take? So we have our summer camps that Monique mentioned. We have the late nights, and then we have the rec. So we have a few different positions that support these programs. So these 4 levels are what we hire. We have the teen program coordinator, which is Monique. We have our outreach leader, which is basically the on-site supervisor for the rec. It's a 1,500-hour position that's a little bit higher pay grade. They're supervising the recreation leader 1s and 2s that are in the space managing the program. And so Monique doesn't have to be there every day, past hours and things like that. And she also has other programs that she coordinates on top of the rec center. Right now, you can see in this photo, this is a current rec staff that work in the teen after school program. They're great. We have 5 regular staff that work every day in the rec. And if you've been in the space, there's the gymnasium, there's the hallway, there's the video game center, there's the makerspace. There's a lot of corners. And then there's also the desk as you come in that we check people in and get their daily drop-in fee and give them the snack. So we have 5 staff to really monitor all those areas of the space to make sure we have eyes on what's happening, and to try to stop conflicts before they happen as much as we can. And then in the summer, we're hiring it's the rec leader 2 position. So it's a little bit higher level because 1, you're dealing with teens. So we want staff that are a little bit older, a little bit more mature, and they're getting into a van and they're driving all over the place to go to Leavenworth, to go to the Ape Caves, to go to Wild Waves, to go to the movies, to go to the mall, to go to the beach, to go all over the place.
You name it, we go.
And they get to do all these really cool things, but we require a higher level of responsibility because they're driving around a big 15-passenger van, and so it takes a lot of staffing to make these programs happen, and we couldn't do it without these part-time staff that are really wonderful. We have a really strong team right now. On late nights, we will pull staff from other programs because we had 15 staff members at the late night in September that had 100 kids because it's a lot to manage, and and we're also doing some added activities and things to help keep teens wanting to come back. And that's what we have for you. So love to open it up to questions.
I have a question for you. So I know it may sound ridiculous, but for some kids that $2 is like a big deal if they come from a very poor family and have a lot of kids. Is there any scholarships that they could still come to that?
Yes. So the philosophy with the rec, it's either $100 a year, a school year membership, $15 a month if you don't want to pay $100 at once, or $1 a day, or we will never turn you away at the door. If you don't have $1, you come in, because the goal is to keep kids in a safe environment. Same thing with late night. You show up, you don't have $2, we're not gonna turn you away.
Okay. Does that go along with like certain like trips or camps, or how does that work?
So for the summer camps and the trips and the sports programs, we do have a scholarship program we have an eligibility sheet that we get based on income. It's a national standard that we use, and they can qualify for up to $400 a year for assistance for those pay-to-play programs.
And then I have one more question, and I'll turn it over to everybody. How is the school advertising these programs? Are they pushing? I know that you said that you go out to the schools, but is the school sending things home? Are the kids getting anything? I meant just besides the parents.
Yes, the kids are. So we're in the school lunches
Okay.
twice a month in every single school, handing out flyers. Like during a late night, we'll go the week of, and then on the opposite week, we'll do just the rec programs or anything else that we have. So yes, the kids are taking home flyers.
Okay.
And like the transportation forms that you see and that kind of information, we're leaving that with the front desk at the different schools so that people can find an easy way to get it.
And at the most recent community outreach meetings,
I met so the superintendent wasn't at the last meeting, and so he sent somebody else, and that gentleman is over all the middle school and high school principals. So we're actually going next week to chat with all the middle and high school principals for that exact reason. We want to have the principals help push out information, especially with the great connection with the school district. A lot of times there's a system called Peach Star that we can pay to send out information to the school district. It's not the best resource. Parents read what the principals are sending out or what the school is sending out. And so we're trying to shift that a little bit of like, this is a great spot for our kids to go if they don't have something to do after school. And so we're trying to make that better connection to where the principals and the schools are sharing that information as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Councilmember Trout-Manuel. Or Tracy Taylor. We'll
Thank
go
you.
with you first.
Appreciate it, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Director Kruger, for talking about Peach Jar. I highly encourage that relationship with Peach Jar. I've seen success rate out of that. So I would push a little harder on the school district for that because it does get to the parents. I guess my question to kind of go along with that is I'm thinking and I'm looking towards more of a retention rate. Are we seeing consistent? Are we seeing one-offs? Like what are we looking at when it comes to teens getting involved?
Are we talking about just our after-school program or in general?
In general.
Yeah, I would say we're seeing consistency. Actually, I would say we're seeing a lot of growth in this last year. I've seen the numbers come up, especially in our after-school program. I have a rec supervisor who is doing a fabulous job in making sure that she's changing things out every single day, that we have that we're giving our kids something to look forward to daily. They do a daily riddle every day. He's always stumped.
they're hard.
Yeah, so I would say we're seeing growth, steady and growth.
And we see a lot of repeat families and camps and things. A lot of the teens and tweens that go to the tween and teen summer camps were in our mix and match program before that. So the people that come to Auburn Parks programs tend to stay with us and do everything that we do. But then we do get one-offs. Sometimes kids come once to the rec, and sometimes they only come when it's not basketball season and they come to play basketball. So it fills that need for them.
Thank you.
Councilmember Trout-Manuel.
Yes, I have two questions. One is, you said that the kids that ride on the bus, that they get a little rowdy, and do you have a staff to ride in on the bus to help the bus driver?
No, we do not. No, because they come straight after school. Like I said, since we have put a person out there, and we've been backing those bus drivers, and making sure that those kids know that this is a privilege to ride this bus, we have seen tremendous growth in their attitudes. So I believe it's working, and our bus drivers are smiling. So I'm very happy about that.
That's good. Yeah. My brother's a bus driver, and he says those kids sometimes need
yes, it can be hard for them, yes.
My second question is on the positions. Do you ever reach out to AmeriCorps to come in and help you in those positions?
So the city has had AmeriCorps members in the past, and AmeriCorps has different requirements for their program. Most of the time, it has to be a free community program. The rec technically isn't a free program. That being said, the AmeriCorps members that we've had in the past have done activities with teens that have come to the rec. So we've done healthy eating programs, we've done activity like health and wellness programs, getting active programs. So the city has worked with AmeriCorps members in the past. We are not currently because the program was cut by the current administration, and the city actually lost a little bit of money because we lost our member early, and there wasn't any refund for that. So we did not recruit a member in this current cycle just due to the volatility of that program at this time.
Yeah, I knew that
Federal
we-
administration, not the
Yes,
city.
federal administration, to be clear, thank you, Mayor.
Which actually in the state is run through the state government too, so the federal government passes it down to the state.
And I
So
knew that we did utilize them, but I didn't know if the Park and Rec did.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Two questions. The first one's really quick. In the busing, were we bringing a bus over from West Auburn High School, or what would those students do for attending?
Currently, we do not have a bus that comes from West Auburn.
Okay. And then for engaging the youth and with the programming that's changing over so frequently, what role do the youth themselves play in giving feedback to the programming that we have on offer?
That's a great question. Actually, our rec supervisor puts out question or pieces of paper for at least for our teen center, right? To ask about what they want, what are we not offering, what do they want to look forward to, what kind of activity do they want. So we do talk to our teens on a regular basis as for like our bigger programming. I mean, we just kind of listen. I mean, we haven't really put anything out there. But when they talk about things, we're constantly paying attention, and we have adapted to some of those suggestions.
Councilmember Clinton Taylor.
Yeah, just one quick, so, and I'll share this with you offline, but they do have, cause ESD, does have some members, they didn't lose their funding for their programming, and so, I'll share that information with you guys, cause he told me the other day they have about 400 members they're looking to place, so.
Councilmember Sturgis.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Couple questions. So just to tag off of Kate's question is, do you have, based on what you've heard from teens, do you have kind of a wish list of which programs you wish you could add or do but just need funding for, or what's on the horizon for the next couple of years of what you'd love to add in to programming?
To be honest, no, but that is a great suggestion, and I will make one.
I think, I mean, to also add on to that, I think right now with, you know, the rec center at the school during the school year, the summer camps, the winter break camps, the seasonal programs, we're with our current staffing model pretty tapped out on terms of capacity for adding more without additional resources. And that's not just part-time staff, because it takes someone to then like coordinate and manage those part-time staff. So it's usually but the nice thing about being in recreation, like, you know, Kids Day is always gonna be Kids Day, and people we're not just gonna, you know, big events are hard to change. Recreation is pretty easy to change. Like, we find that teens aren't interested in this program anymore. Well, we're not gonna offer that program anymore, we're gonna go do something different. So we're always evaluating those program offerings to try to meet the needs of the community in all our programs.
Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. In your marketing efforts, you mentioned daily social media posts. First off, whoever's doing the social for parks right now is doing an excellent job. The question I have in this is, have you thought about exploring UGC, having your teens do a teen takeover, having them provide or or create some content that can be shared out, because, there is nothing, and I will speak on behalf of my daughter, there is nothing better than her creating something and it getting shared out to all of her friends. That gets the talk going and then gets interest involved. Is that something that you would be interested in exploring, or?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, fabulous.
If you have any examples of that,
I would love to show
please
those.
share.
Yes.
That would be
I would,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Councilmember Sturgis.
First off, the energy in the community center is amazing, or the rec center. And so the fact that getting the numbers of the 30 to 60, it seems like it's really busy every day, which is super exciting.
We are higher, by the way, on the 60 than we are the 30. But
I was gonna say, I'm like, I love how, it's just, they're all having so much fun and they're all engaging, and it's just been a really huge joy to get to learn more about it. But what is the daily capacity? So how many teens could you serve on a daily basis?
Could we serve? Our building is big enough with our gym. I would personally say I think we could average, or we could take in 200.
Okay.
I would like to start averaging, if I had it my way, around 150 to 180 kids a day.
Awesome.
We could probably even take more, but I would also need, with more kids comes more staff, more supervision, because as you know, teens, it's a lot sometimes, and we need to make sure that we have a lot of eyes going on.
Cool.
Councilmember M.
For the media, I can connect you because Girl Scout, we usually hire somebody to do media, then be competition. My question for staff, have you tried to open for volunteer? Because there is probably many people looking for a volunteer, retired school teacher, they're willing to come to help.
Yeah, we've had volunteers in the past. We're also working with the Muckleshoot tribe as well, and they're providing, we're in the works of having one of their staff in our teen center to help with our snacks on a daily basis. So yes.
Councilmember Sturgis.
Along the lines of that, are there opportunities for the teens to have summer jobs when you need additional, part-time employment?
So we have, we start hiring at 16. That's legally the lowest we can go. In the past, we have run what we call a counselor in training, or a CIT program, with mixed success, where it's kind of an on-the-job training. They kind of work as a summer camp counselor, but we've done opportunities where they can work as in the concessions and help sell concessions and those type of things. And we actually work with the Muckleshoot. They have a program where they have teens that do work, and the Muckleshoot pays their wage, and they get to come work in our programs. We've had some of their members in that program come and work in our programs. But yeah, we've had several summer camp staff that have come into the rec and then started at 16 as a recreation assistant and summer camps, and worked their way up to then they're driving trips once they turn 21, and they're taking a van full of kids because they grew up in that while they're finishing college. So yes.
We just have to be careful of teens watching teens, right? So when they're too young, and I run high school students, right, or 16 and 17, I have to make sure that they're in an area that's makes sense.
Councilmember Trotman.
Yes, it's really exciting to hear you guys say that you partnership with the Muckleshoot tribe. Because I remember in the past, the youth, there was a carving for a canoe, and they were wondering if they could take part, but it wasn't allowed. So this is really nice to see. Also, of the volunteers, we have a lot of nonprofit organizations, the Lions Club, the Rotary, the Kiwanis, the Sons of Italy's, and all of those clubs, and they're always looking for projects, and they love youth because we raise a lot of money for scholarships every year. So would you be interested in having some of them take part of this?
They do. We work with those groups all the time, and they help at a lot of our larger events like Halloween Harvest Festival, and those type of things. They'll be there. And so if we are doing something like a late night, and if we're maybe short on staff and we need extra, especially adults, to help, that's where we would reach out to some of those service groups and say, hey, we're expecting a big number of people. We could use some extra help. We will absolutely reach out to those groups. Do you want to send a group of people to come in and run this activity or watch this area and whatnot? and they just sign a one-time volunteer waiver, and they're working with our team, so absolutely.
Great.
Councilmember Hammer.
For 16, so Girl Scouts sometimes they will hire 16 to lead day camp, or sometimes I feel sorry for them because they will be the whole week, they will be watching kids. Anyway, I want to say about late night, I love, you should put the date, like December 19th, that means it's good chance for parents to go shopping for $2. It's like babysitting for $2 with food. Anyway, you know my email if you need volunteers.
Councilmember Sturgis.
My last question is, have you in the past, or is there opportunity in the future to equally as awesome as the rec and community center is next door, the senior center, and with just awesome energy there too. And so is there opportunity or programming where the high schoolers or the middle schoolers can go over and volunteer at the senior center on a regular basis?
A lot of the events that the senior center needs volunteers for are their big lunch programs that happen
Okay.
during the school day.
Okay.
That being said, not next week. Yes, it is next week already. Time flies. Our department is doing a whole programming retreat with all of our divisions. Well, all of our divisions that offer programming to really try to better collaborate and how can we support each other better. Are there opportunities like there is a teen line dancing class right now and a senior line dancing class. Let's get them together and let's do a line, just even if it's those classes coming together. So what are those where are those opportunities? So as a department as a whole, especially with now the postmark, the theater that's going to be coming online, we really want to make sure our department as a whole is really communicating, talking. We're not offering the same programs at the same time that might make a family choose one or the other. There's always going to be something happening on top of each other. That's just impossible. But we are absolutely always looking at ways to support each other. But it is hard when a lot of the stuff that happens at the senior center is during that school day.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit limited.
My little niece, she's a freshman in high school this year, but last year she started every Thursday she goes to the retirement living place, and so equal to a community center, and volunteer. She works, but she volunteers from when she gets out of school, so from 3 to 5 every Thursday, and she helped set up the conga dance line, and and just talks with them. And I mean, at first she was super scared, like, what do you talk to them about? And just seeing her grow over the last year of just how much she can communicate and have a great conversation and is off her phone less and just appreciates that world of perspective. It's been something that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so special. And you guys are, right next to each other. So I know, and the seniors just love to talk and share their stories. And so awesome. Thank you.
I have one quick question, and this is a personal question. In the arts, in your art center, did someone ever figure out how to run the embroidery machine?
Yes and no. The person that we had for a long time, for a few years in the makerspace, just moved on to another opportunity.
Okay.
She is still on staff and will come and help when we need troubleshooting. But we're working to refill that role with someone that knows all that equipment.
Okay.
But yeah, it is something that we want to make more use of.
Well, we have been actually working with a volunteer as well.
Really?
Yes, who loves the embroidery machine. So she's been working on it, and she's gonna show me some tricks. To get so.
I have a small one, but I went there to use the big one, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know how. And they're like, nobody knows how. So, okay, that would be great. Councilmember Trout Manuel.
Okay, and my last question, donations.
Yep.
Where do we get a form or something if people would like to donate?
So if anyone wants to donate to the parks, whether it be teens or specialized recreation or just parks in general, they can come into the office and just say, hey, I want to make a donation to the teen program, and our front desk can receipt that in for any amount. And so we're always accepting donations, and they just would contact our office.
So it's $100 a year for one student,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, that's what I needed to know.
Yep.
Thank you.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yeah, as you're getting ready for your retreat and as you know, work on inviting the youth into, you know, contributing to the questions on programming, another area that I'm curious about is the actual sort of physical assets within the space itself, right? So foosball table, video games, you know, nice TVs people can, you know, watch movies on or play games. I'm curious, when you're doing that survey, if there's any need for our youth to have things like a washer dryer so they could, you know, if they're disadvantaged at home or struggling with that as being able to get to a laundromat, if something like that would be useful for our teens within our space, or if people are using the maker space, if there were some sort of lockers where they could keep projects that they're working on, you know, over time. Or if you were looking at the tools that are there in maker space, you know, if there were people who wanted to work on making their homecoming dresses or their prom dresses, if there were some dress forms, for example. So if, as you're doing kind of your questioning and your surveying, to put those questions out there for, are there certain items or things that could help really round out the existing programming, and maybe help our teens and youth in a way that maybe we don't think about, you know, because sometimes I think we focus on fun, but they might have some underlying needs that we could help address within that space. So.
Yeah, that's something we can absolutely try to reach out about. If we find youth that maybe have needs, we have a great partnership with our team here out of City Hall that provide resources for, you know, for families in need. So we will put people in contact there who know that world better than we do. But we absolutely will try to find ways to support them as much as we can.
Okay.
And yeah, we're always wanting to look at do more. If we are offering any kind of program out of the makerspace, for example, where you can't be done in a day, we do keep things on site for people. Like we have lockers on site and we check out locks every day for teens in need so they can lock up their valuables to try to prevent theft and things like that. So we do try to provide opportunities like that as much as we can.
Wonderful. That sounds good. Thank you.
Councilmember Sturgis.
Sorry. Do you guys have, you just made me think about that, do you have opportunities where community volunteers or community leaders could come in and, you know, obviously go through a vetting process, but if, let's say, they could come in for one afternoon and do a financial literacy workshop, or could come in and do interviewing skills or resume writing, is that, what's the process for people who want to come in and teach that to a group of the kids?
That's on my list of what I want to bring to our rec center would be a lot of banks do free financial literacy classes. They will come into whatever space you offer them. It would just be a volunteer form that they'd have to fill out with the city so we can background check them and make sure that they can do that. But yes, those are actually programs I would love to do with our kids to give them opportunities to learn and grow.
Very cool. Thank you.
Any last questions, council? Thank you guys very
Yes,
much.
thank
A
you.
lot of good
Thank you so
information. We
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on our municipal services is the 23 to 25 crimes statistics with Assistant Chief Officer Betts.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, thanks for having me. Sam Betts, filling in for Chief Collier while he's on a well-deserved vacation here. So our 2025 public safety update. First, we're gonna go over our calls for service. So good news, calls for service are down by 5.09% this year compared to last year. And we're just looking at stats from January to the end of August here. So 39,959 billable calls for service. And obviously you can see the number on there. It went down or what we believe is significantly from last year. That's an average of 165 calls per day. One thing we did want to add on there is just our calls per district. And that's something that we'd have to dive into the statistics if we wanted to know more about why District 2 has many more calls. I mean, I think we could talk about the amount of businesses up there combined with residences and just the whole mix that we have up there. But that's what we have as far as our numbers for each district. Again, we have our district maps here. So just for your memory, kind of our dividing line is Highway 18, basically for our north and south border, or for our north and south parts of our city. We have our 1, 2, and 3 districts up north, and then 4, 5, and 6 down south. So our 3 is like up in Lee Hill, that area over there. The river kind of separates that. It's kind of our natural dividing line there, and then our 2 district is fairly skinny going north and south, but it just involves a lot with businesses and residences, all that. And then the 1 district is just a lot of, I mean, you guys know from just knowing your own city that it's a lot of commercial districts, a lot of places that maybe aren't really populated at night. So the activity can kind of go down there. Our 4, 5, and 6 is down south. And we have a lot more residences down there, maybe not. In the 4, we have quite a bit of commercial property just because of the outlet collection over there. And then the 5 is obviously Lakeland Hills, and then a lot of kind of open areas there as we get into the Green Valley, and then the southern part of the city there. And then the 6 is quite a bit of as we stretch out into the reservation land there. The crime year to date, we wanted to show kind of what it looks like from January 1st through the end of August. Excuse me, I almost said the end of September. The year's flying by too fast. So we wanted to look at, we have 2 homicides. Kind of the big ones to look at are homicide, robbery, the forcible rape, the sex offenses, and then it goes on down to the aggravated assaults. The aggravated assaults would be like your felony assaults. And then simple assaults would be like your misdemeanors, your burglaries, and your auto thefts there. So going into that comparison, now when you look at the top there with that asterisk that has the NIBRS data, the NIBRS is the National Incident-Based Reporting System. So that's really important to look at. There's you can Google a lot of different stats out there, but we use NIBRS. We report, NIBRS was created by the FBI. We use it along with 19,000 other police agencies, law enforcement agencies across the nation. This is the credible way to report stats. And this is something that we, as part of our accreditation process, this is how we seek validity in our stat reporting. There is about 28 primary A offenses, and then they have like B offenses as well that you can report, and they have certain criteria that you have to hit when you report these things, like such as what is the victim to offender relationship, or things like that. So they're very specific on what they report. It's uniform. That's why the FBI calls it the Uniform Crime Report. And it's consistent. So that's where you get your credibility from in the statistics. Good news in the statistics are percent of change if you just go across there. So from last year to this year, the same from January 1st to August 31st. First, I want to stop for a second. Let's be clear that if there's 1 on here in any of these categories, it's not good. So we recognize that, we acknowledge that. That is a person or people that were impacted by a crime. It's not good, but we are very happy with the progress that we have made as a community as far as looking at these numbers. So homicide down 350%, robbery we're down 75.5%. Our forcible rapes are stayed the same. Sex offenses down 2.8%. Sometimes there can be a question about what happened with the forcible rape and the sex offenses. A lot of that can depend on reporting. Sometimes there's a lot of shame involved in sex offenses, and so you can run into circumstances where victims will report more sometimes, or they'll report less based on their circumstances and the situation involved there. Aggravated assault, again, that's like your felony assault, that's down over 100%. Simple assaults down, burglaries are down, and vehicle thefts, which we know is a huge problem in Washington State. Thankfully, that's down year to date. Regional comparison, we wanted to give council a perspective on just a couple of other jurisdictions in the area and how Auburn compares. Not that we want to we're all unique, but we did want to, just for awareness, give council that perspective. So as you can see, we have 2 homicides surrounding other areas. I'm not gonna name them, but one of these other jurisdictions has 1 homicide, the other one has 9. And then sexual assaults, these are all, if you just go down the line, the 1, 93, 59, and 110 all go together, and the 9, 56, 47, and 151 all go together. So, and these are larger jurisdictions, a little bit larger than us, but they are kind of regional partners, and we do kind of we do share intel, and we know them, and they're close enough to us that we can compare them. This is our average daily population and score for Auburn. As you can tell, we kind of we pace everybody else for the most part here. We're the dark blue down at the bottom. This is not a reflection of Auburn trying to arrest itself out of a problem. This is a reflection of dedicated activity by our law enforcement officers, and also holding on to that vision of having compassion but yet using accountability. So, for example, last month we do dedicated emphasis details for our officers. This is an extra 5 hours on top of what they do during their normal shifts, and we have them done 4 days a week. We have 2 officers at a time that go out, and they go into the business areas or the higher crime areas, and they just make sure that people are being law-abiding and not causing problems. And last month they had 123 contacts, and they had 18 arrests. So you're talking 15% of your people contacted are being arrested, and they have 14 trespasses. So if they're giving someone a trespass admonishment rather than arresting them, which is almost equal to your arrest, you're not just arresting yourself out of a problem, you're not just arresting all the people that you contact. And those are not, again, these stats right here for our average daily population and the next booking by agency slide are not just they're not just emphasis details. These are officers on routine during their regular duties. They're going to a dispatch to a domestic. They're dispatched to a burglary. They're dispatched to a disorderly subject, whatever it is, where these are all part of these statistics right here. So again, we had these were our bookings for 1 month. Sorry, not for 1 month, good Lord. But these were our bookings there for new arrests and then for warrants. Juvenile crime. So this has been a hot topic. We wanted to give council a little bit of a perspective on this, and we broke it up into 2-year, just every other year, to kind of give a broader range of how the trend is going. So obviously 2023, we kind of peaked in a lot of areas, in our robberies, in our felony assaults, and homicides have kind of stayed this consistent, but now this year our robberies have gone down significantly. Sex offenses, again, those are they've gone up a little bit right there, but our felony assaults are significantly down. Again, we've talked about this before. I think Chief Collier shared this in maybe last year in his update. But the juvenile crime issue is a regional issue. Many of the juveniles that are committing robberies or shootings or anything like that down in Auburn, they may live in a completely other jurisdiction, another part of King County, and they may have collaborated to commit crimes in other sections of King County, and vice versa, right? They may live in Auburn and go somewhere else and do crime over there. So we still value sharing information and resources with our other partners in King County, not just criminal, other law enforcement agencies, but also other resources to try to make sure that we're reaching out and partnering, like the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, trying to reach out and make sure that we're communicating with groups like that. Again, this is just a reminder on state law. So state law still does not allow us to interview juvenile suspects without consulting with an attorney. It's still the same. We just wanted to reiterate that for council. So here's our shooting incidents for 2025. There's 32 shooting reports, and then 2 homicides associated with that in 2025, 10 with injuries. reported 2 were self-inflicted, and then 9 with. So we've been blessed by mayor and council to invest in flock safety cameras. We have 20 operating cameras right now with 22 just waiting to be installed, or excuse me, with 20 more waiting to be installed. And so far, with only 20 cameras, we've had, and some of them have been, they haven't been operational for one reason or another. So we've been down at times, and we've still managed to get 164 total cases with flock. And we use the circumstance code to attribute any flock activation or use of flock with our case in our report management system. So we have 68 cases involving arrest, physical arrest or charges filed. So that's a pretty significant number when you talk about 164 total cases and 68 of them involved arrest or filing charges. That's a great rate right there of clearance. And then cases that flock have been used, we've ranged from burglaries to eludes. They've helped us on homicides and robbery cases. And it's really a critical access to regional intelligence. I can tell you that just 8 days ago, one of our officers received a flock notification. They can just receive them on their phone. They'll get these, it's a notification that a vehicle that was entered into the flock system passed one of our cameras and entered into Auburn. And they were able to quickly find this vehicle. It entered around 277th and Auburn North, and they were able to pick it up around 37th and Auburn North, and they were able to effect a stop. They were able to arrest a suspect that was wanted from a jurisdiction up north for DV assault, felony harassment, and they were able to get a firearm off the street as well. So all doing this without using force, without anything like that. It was a very, very just the work was tremendous and the efficiency was tremendous. So this has been an absolute game changer. 5 years ago, we would not have had this knowledge. We would have had they would have put a be on the lookout over our dispatcher, would have put it on our CAD, and it would be highly unlikely if a cop would have found that vehicle. I wanted to just give a kind of a 30,000-foot view of our flock locations. This is where they currently are at now. And like I said, these are our 20 cameras, and we'll be expanding to 20 more cameras. The hope is that we put the other 20 cameras in the ingress points of our city so that we capture critical information coming into our city to help protect our community. Staffing, currently have 10 vacancies. This is kind of a fluid number just because of we have a lot of people on field training. We have people that are in the academy. When you have training scenarios like that, not everybody makes it. It's just the reality of being a professional. And so we recently had to let someone go off of training because they weren't meeting our standards, but that's fine. They're going to be productive somewhere else. We have five officers completing field training now. 6 officers attending the State Basic Academy with more on the way tomorrow. And 6 officers waiting to attend, so that will turn into 4 tomorrow. And then all have academy dates because it's been critical that we have a TAC officer that's up at the academy, so we have 1 spot in every academy class guaranteed, and then we get officers into the academy classes very, very quickly. So it's become much more efficient than it was, say 2 years ago, where we were waiting 11 months. So we still have 6 patrol districts. Our minimum staffing is still 7 officers in patrol from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. and 6 officers and a sergeant from 2 a.m. to 11 a.m. 2 a.m., yeah. And then this does not include the other officers working uniform assignments, doesn't include detectives, stuff like that. So we still have our school resource officers. We have a great relationship with the school district. We have transitioned to now using overtime opportunities for people working at the mall. We were not able to get people to fill those positions, so we've worked a new contract with the mall, and then we still have our CRT and our bike units. So one thing I just want to emphasize are 3 things that I think are critical towards as we look back from 2022 to right now is that we kind of hit a high point in our crime in 2022, 2021, 2022 in there. And three things really stick out to the police department and to me as we move forward through this is one is the people. Our personnel are just tremendous, and they have just been so committed to the vision that we've given them of going out and being dedicated and serving our community and using compassion and accountability. They have not wavered at all, even through all the criticism and all of the low staffing and stuff like that. Another thing is the people in the community. I think the people in the community have bought into, we're gonna police our neighborhoods, we're gonna police each other, we're gonna police our families, and we're gonna be part of the solution. And I think that's been really, really critical. So huge applause to our community. And then our partnerships, our partnerships with the community, our partnerships with technology. This increase in technology has been a game changer for us. Our partnerships with other groups in the area that have helped knock down some of the criminal activity. And then our partnerships just with city departments. I mean, the stuff that we do with Director Hay and his group, the stuff that, all the departments service us in different ways and allow us to really serve the community to the best and hopefully move crime along and keep it out of Auburn. And the third thing is leadership. So police leadership has been fantastic. The sergeants, the commanders on a daily basis, just embodying the vision that we put before them. And then we sat in this room in 2022, and the mayor's leadership was critical in this. So we sat in this room 2022, and we heard from all the businesses in this very room that they were upset, that they didn't like what was going on, that they wanted better, and we heard it repeatedly. And the mayor was bold. The mayor had a vision. She let us go, and she also empowered all these departments in our city to work together to really knock this down. So really appreciate that, and I think that's where we're at right now. We're not going to stop. We're not going to sit down and celebrate it. We're going to keep working, and because it can always flip back the other way, and people can make bad choices. So we're there to help it out. Any questions?
Yep, I do have a question. Have we ever thought about having a CRT team in the middle of the night? I know they only work days, but would they be effective in the overnight hours when a lot of things happen?
So that's a great question. I think the mission of the CRT team, the primary function of the CRT team is to work with groups in the area and then a lot of multifamily housing groups and rental properties to then impact that for patrol. A lot of those management groups and stuff like that aren't working at night, so they're probably better served during the daytime.
Okay.
But a lot of their role can be administrative at times. And then what they do is they'll also go out and do community events, which are oftentimes during the day.
Mm-hmm.
But if we had a community event that was occurring at 2 a.m., then I'm sure they'd be there because they love to be a part of that, and that's something that they signed up for.
Okay, council, any questions? Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. AC Betts, a couple of questions, one of which I would like your take on. What we hear from our community meetings is people are not reporting anymore. Can you debunk that?
Well, I don't believe that's true. Just from my interactions with the public, they don't seem to be not reporting. They just seem to be, like I said, part of the solution. So maybe they're not reporting because they're solving the issue on their own, and I mean in a peaceful way, or maybe they're finding other resources to help the person who is experiencing a crisis or something like that. I haven't heard a circumstance that would validate that comment in my experience so far.
Thank you.
Councilmember Trout-Manuel.
Okay. I have to say that I have to disagree with that. As going out and talking to our constituents right now, that is a lot that I've been hearing, that they don't report certain things. And because of the time that it takes to a police officer to come, the perpetrator has left, or they just don't feel comfortable calling in. And I keep telling them they need to call, because that's the only way that we're going to know where our police department gets to know where the hot spots are or where a lot of the crime is happening. So they need to call no matter what. But I have been hearing that out there. My other question is with this, what just took place up there on Muckleshoot. I live there. Mr. Cole lives only 6 houses down from me. And that night when we found out on the news, I had multiple calls. The next day, I had multiple calls and emails. So I got up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I made some phone calls. I made a call to I'm co-partner with our block watch lady, and I told her to please send this information out. I understand there was a letter delivered to our police department and to our city administrator about what the Muckleshoot tribe is doing. And we haven't heard anything up there in my neighborhood. And so I would like to know what is actually happening. Is this individual going to be removed? Is he leaving? Was he given a time frame of when to leave or be relocated? Because they're all looking to me, and I don't have the answers. So I would like to hear either from our mayor or from the police department.
Okay, I'll answer. Your first question, I would challenge anybody who says they're not going to, or they haven't been calling for a specific reason, to email me and tell me what the incident was and why they didn't call, and I would be more than happy to have some officers go out there and address it.
Okay.
Again, that's why I answered and said, I have not heard of a situation or a specific circumstance that would validate that comment. So until I get a specific circumstance, I can't validate that comment. But you have my email. They're more than willing to reach out to me anytime.
I will start giving that out.
Thank you very much. And to your second question, that's a great question. We were notified on Friday, October 3rd. Our sergeant was emailed. Our sergeant was out of town and he was on leave on his regular scheduled day off. So he didn't get the email right away. Mr. Coe was then in the email. Our sergeant was told, we've been told that he is moving to this address in Auburn, but we will wait for confirmation when he reports on Tuesday, October 7th. And so he reported on Tuesday, October 7th, that he was at that address. We also had detectives verify that he was at that address. And so the information that I've received now, I have not been part of the any tribal processes. However, the information that I've received is that Mr. Coe is planning on finding a new place to live. We don't know when and we don't know where right now. But we will be actively monitoring that situation. And again, if anybody wants an update, I'm more than willing to provide that when I have more information.
Okay, I would like to be in contact with you folks because everyone up there is very, even though he's in a wheelchair and he's supposed to be in his last days, they're still concerned about walking around there. We have tons of youth walking to Chinook Elementary daycares. We have several daycares around there that take their kids to Toddler. So they're all concerned about this. So I would really like to know so I can let them know, or else if the city or the police department can let my community, our community up there on the hill, it's not mine, but I live there. So, I'm still part of that community. And so they can feel more relaxed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Councilmember Sturgis?
I would like to state that this moment we had information, I know that the mayor had sent a very detailed and direct letter and of attention as far as the police department supporting and being active on the 7th to all of us as council. So I think in the meantime, it needs to be our responsibility to share that information as well, because the mayor and the police department communicated that immediately as soon as you had knowledge. So I appreciate that. First off, thank you. And the other question I have is going back to the youth violence. Is there any type of teen or programs that you are aware of that we could to help kind of help at-risk youth prior to or to get out of an environment, you know, and try to help get them on the right track? Are there programs out there that you've heard of as best practices that we could, you know, potentially look at in the future?
That's a great question. I think it's always hard to find the right fit for each kid in each community. I'm not, just off the top of my head, I'm not aware of specific programs, but I do think that our Parks and Rec department does a tremendous job of offering so many different opportunities to our youth that kind of steer them out of that decision-making process. So if you want, I can try to get some information and get back to you if you'd like that.
Cool. No worries, thank you.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Thank you. First, thank you for committing to continuing to share out information as you have it about Mr. Cole, the known rapist in our community at the moment. And I also want to say I am grateful to see these numbers coming in for what was achieved within 2024. I was here in 2022 as we were at that high point, and as a body, we were trying to figure out what can be done, how can we make a difference here. And so the percent changes, as you noted, it's never great to have any crime, but being able to see a drop of 350%, 109%, 98%, 136%, those are great improvements happening. Albeit we still need the community to report to us if they are having issues and they have needs. One area that I do hear about that's not reflected, so first off, congratulations, good job, keep it up. But I do still hear quite a bit about speeding and street racing in the community. And so with the technology that we're seeing success with the flock cameras, do you see the addition of the other 20 cameras being able to help impact that? Or I know we had done some drone technology. Is that an opportunity to kind of identify maybe what those hotspots may be? How do you see us trying to tackle that issue in our community going forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for street racing, we may be able to use the flock cameras. So I want to be specific on the flock cameras. When any officer, so over the country, we have over 2,000 partnerships with departments nationwide. We have well over 100 partnerships just in Washington State with local jurisdictions and then even east side of the state. But what an officer has to do, this isn't just Big Brother watching vehicles as they go by. Every officer, when they're going to look for a plate, they have to put in a case number. They have to put a reason. There's an audit trail why they are using that technology, and for what purpose, right? We don't want officers being able to abuse that authority anywhere. And if we find out that they are, we will permanently end that partnership with that agency if we get that information. With flock cameras, we could use them for racer details. And I do foresee that in the future if they're not already being used for it. Just admittedly, I'm not like an active user every day just because of my position. So I can't speak from a practical experience in my own role. I'm sure my officers are probably using it for that reason though. We have a regional group that emails out information and distributes information related to racer information. And they do a great job of, I mean, we're talking from Everett to down into Thurston County. And they'll talk about racer groups and how they're impacting communities across that I-5, 167 corridor, 405 corridor there. So that's kind of the main method of communication right now. And then our officers do a great job. You know, they show up a lot of times at like the outlet collection because it's an empty parking lot later at night. And it's close to the freeway. So it's user friendly for them, and our officers do a great job of showing up and trying to really mitigate that and push it along without trying to escalate in any type of an issue.
Councilmember Hammer.
First, I want to say thank you. I want to just respond about the officer not respond to the call. Actually, we have even, if you call to report, they will respond, and they have the text message. You get text message. So someone will call even something not related to me. And I remember a few years ago when they had the stores, public stores break-in, 5 stores, there was one of them. When I call, 10 minutes. I call it was 2023. So actually, I want to appreciate all the work our officer they're doing and the technology too, by getting the text message too. So thank you.
I do want to add on that our priority one response has gone down since last year as well. We did a kind of a department emphasis on just increasing knowledge for sergeants on what a priority one call is, and then ensuring that we're dispatching resources as quick as we can to that priority one call. So if there is a delay in response, it very well could be because of the priority of the call to 911, because a priority 4 is probably going to respond. There's probably going to be a slower response than a priority 1 if you have all of our officers on a priority 1 call. So there's a lot of nuances to that.
Councilmember Trent Manuel.
I also want to say I praise our police department. I think we've got one of the best group of people. And you guys do come as soon as you guys are so busy. And with us being short on patrol officers, it is just, you guys are doing the best that you can. I just called just yesterday. There was a gentleman on the sidewalk in a wheelchair, and he was slumped over. And when I came back, he was still there like that. His groceries were spilled all over. I drove in. I didn't touch him. I thought he was dead. So I said, hello, hello. He didn't respond. So I called 911. You guys got there within 5 minutes. The police officer, I never have met him. He just touched him, shook him a little bit, and he decided what I understood, he didn't want to go in anywhere. He's right now sitting in a corner down the street from where I live. And I talked to Ken tonight, and he had someone go over there and talk to him. He does not want to go into the shelter because he's harassed people and they've kicked him out. He doesn't want to go anywhere, so now he's there in that corner with a blanket over himself. So our homeless department, Ken Hayes' department, has done what they can. They're going to continue checking on him, but I just want to praise our police officers because they got there very quickly. They were very professional, and I just appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Sturgis.
Thank you. I do want to just make sure it's noted is that Chief Collier in the community meetings also provided some statistics around response times are down quite a bit. So I mean, officers are responding quickly, and I know on the few times I've gone out with officers, it's neat how when they call 911, the officer immediately is either en route or they use their city cell phone to call the person who's just called and reported. And so someone's getting contacted immediately. I mean, obviously if it's life-threatening, they're getting there. But even for, less serious calls, they're getting called back from an officer, within moments. And so I just, thank you so much for your leadership. The culture within the department is amazing. It's so fun to hear the pride in and just the growth over the last 2 to 3 years. My one question though is that we seem to use narratives from 5-10 years ago and repeat those as if it's still current. And we all get to grow over time and change and get better, I think. And then we also use absolutes where we're not using the data. So the data you just provided us tonight is real data. It's nationally reported. And so if we were to say that crime is terrible in Auburn, we could then go use this data to show, well, let's look at the region and now let's look at Auburn, and actually our crime is down and continuing to trend down. And this data would be the proof that the fact checking to a comment of, using generalization that crime's terrible and it's out of control in Auburn.
Yeah, I think when you look at data, you want to look at the credibility of the data and the source, and then how it's reported, especially for crime data. So in this case, the NIBRS system, they have a manual that they provide. You can look it up. It's an open source document online. Mm-hmm. It's a manual on how you report things. Our record staff report our NIBRS data, and then it is part of our accreditation process as well. We have to provide a proof to WASPIC when we accredit, and we have to show them that we are doing it accurately. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, this is I'm not aware of another way that we report crime data. So this is the way that you would look at crime data and go, this is how the Auburn community is functioning, and this is how people are being impacted by crime in Auburn.
Thank you for that clarification. And I have a follow-up.
I have a question for you. How is, we just had one just recently where a gentleman committed suicide at work and they called the police. How, is that reported? Is that counted anywhere?
That's a great question. I'd have to look at suicides. I don't believe that suicides are counted because it's not counted as a crime.
Okay.
There are, like I said, the group A offenses, you're gonna count every single crime in there and you're gonna report on those to NIBRS.
Right.
In the group B offenses, you don't.
Okay.
So, and I don't think it's in group A or group B because it's not a crime. Again.
Right, okay.
Just like we don't report our traffic infractions to NIBRS.
Right.
So, and I don't mean to compare the two at all, but.
No, I know. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't being in another category
No,
that it
no.
shouldn't be in, or,
No,
okay. And
not that I'm aware of.
Going back to the slide that shows the different districts, if I'm remembering or just interpreting what you shared, District 3, is that Lee Hill area?
Yes.
Okay, so question is I kind of always hear this narrative of, oh, Lee Hill's where all the crime is. And so I'm curious because 30% of the calls, 11,000 of them are in District 2.
Correct.
And then only 11%, 4,500 of those calls, or 4,000, sorry, my glasses aren't working, 4,500 are in District 3. And so what would be, I guess, could you help me understand that a little better? Or what would your perspective be based on
I'd
that?
have to, if we're talking about just dispatch calls, if you're
Yeah.
looking at this slide right here,
Yeah.
I would have to dive more into the data to talk about why the discrepancy in the numbers there. I think
Maybe
one
it's
of
the
the key
type of
ones to
calls.
look at is crime year to date
Okay.
on this slide. And then you would see, how much the community is being impacted in that area in proportionate to the amount of calls that are called, the amount of incidents, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a critical number to look at. I think that can also be perception is reality. If you live in an area, if I live in an area where my car's always getting stolen, then there's a lot of crime in my area. But if I live down the street and my car never gets stolen, maybe I don't feel like there's a lot of crime in my area.
Okay. I was just curious on that, so thank you.
any other questions, council? Councilmember Baldwin?
Yeah, I don't think you have the data today, so this might be a bit of a homework that I'm curious about is kind of 3 areas that I would like to see a little bit more if it's possible. For the shooting incidents, that slide was a standalone separate from the NIBRS data. And so I didn't know if you would be able to provide that same information for the previous 2 years like we have for the NIBRS info. And then the other one is for, the work that you're doing and the calls that your team is responding to. I'm curious how much time for our law enforcement officers is spent doing things like responding to welfare checks or, people calling in because they see someone or, behaving erratically and things of that nature where it's not, an overt crime like a direct assault or burglary or, car theft or something of that nature. So I'd love to get kind of a arms around sense of how much of our officers' time is being spent in those areas as well, and then the historics for the shooting incidents, if that's possible.
Yeah, can I just repeat it back to you to make sure that I heard it correctly? So you would like the shooting incidents the previous 2 years similar to
Slide 4.
right here?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we did have this for last year, so I would be able to just generate from,
Or, yeah.
and then 2023 as well? Okay. And then, excuse me, I have to type notes, otherwise I forget very easily. I have too many hits to the head. And then you were curious that your second request that can kind of get a little bit complicated there. So we can search things based on call type. So if you're curious about how many times we've gone to a welfare check, that would just be the incidents. I'm not sure to then grab time that we're there, that would take a long time to grab that amount of data.
If we started just with a count,
Okay.
would be,
Number of welfare checks
number of welfare checks.
Okay.
And
Just
then,
because there's a variety of call types, so a welfare check, a disorderly subject, a suspicious subject, they could all kind of, depending on how they're reported, they could almost all be the same thing.
potentially.
Yeah, so and I'm just throwing those 3 random call types out there, but, so I'm curious, I wanna be able to get you the data, so,
So if you were looking at those call types, I would be looking at like welfare check, disorderly, and a suspicious activity I wouldn't consider in the mix.
okay.
And if there are
Okay,
others,
I'll look at, how about this, I'll just grab some data and I'll report it to you, and then if you want anything more,
follow up.
yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great, thank you.
And are you looking for that for for 2025 year to date, like the same
Yeah.
data we have here,
Year to date would be great.
January 1 to August 31st? Okay,
And only if it doesn't take a great deal of time, because that's directing staff and that's my call.
What I'm trying to understand is what amount of time our officers, from an incident perspective, if we're able to see what is happening from a crime perspective, I'm curious
Understood.
what other things are pulling them in.
Understood. It's just if it takes a significant amount of time, that would be my call to make. Council does not direct staff. Just want to make that clear. So if it takes a significant amount of time, we'll need to discuss it. Sam?
As Vice Chair.
Councilmember Sturgis.
For our municipal services special focus area, maybe what we could do is really incorporate this into our normal scheduled meetings and have it as a follow-up so that it's not something one-off, but it can be part of the discussion we're having in our special focus area, regular routine meeting, and then we can have it get back on the agenda as a follow-up so that it's just through the normal course of business since it's not an urgent matter. That way it's not something outside of it, but we can just expand on the data in our discussions and then bring it back as something as in a future study session as an update. Would that be okay?
absolutely.
Any other questions, council? Thank you very much for your presentation. So we're going to move on to items for council discussion, and this will be ran by Director Crum for the VERFA fee schedule presentation.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It is my great pleasure to introduce Tim Day, Deputy Chief of the Valley Regional Fire Authority, and Mark Karofsky, the Chief Financial Officer, to discuss the VRFA fee schedule 2026.
Right. Thank you, Jason. Good evening, Deputy Mayor, Mayor, and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I know we're all coming off the high of the Mariners win.
Yay.
I hope no one had that recorded and was planning on watching later, so I blew the surprise. So in 2024, on the direction of our board, VRFA staff undertook a systematic review of our current impact fee schedule, which has been in place for nearly 20 years and prior to the formation of the VRFA in 2007. So to do so, we engaged with a consultant from the FCS group, hence you'll see their logo on the slide presentation. And tonight, Mark and I will summarize the results from this review. So again, we're going to cover tonight just 4 key areas, just the key characteristics of impact fees, and we'll go through these quickly. The statutory basis, the impact fee calculations, and then comparison of impact fees with neighboring jurisdictions. So I won't spend too much time on this slide, but our review included looking at all of the applicable RCWs for impact fees, several of which have been revised since the last time we did this exercise many years ago. Notably, there's a few changes. In 2023, the legislature revised impact fees for how they could be collected for residential units. Prior to this change, single-family, multifamily were separate categories. Now they're lumped together in residential units. And really importantly, they were required that impact fees be calculated in a way to produce a lower impact fee for smaller housing units. So it's not simply just per door. It's actually based on size or some other objective criteria to make it more proportional. In addition, the legislature changed the language addressing accessory dwelling units. And just very simply, and we have this slide at the end, the fees for ADUs can be no more than 50% of the impact fee for the main unit as well. All right, I will turn it over to Mark now for some algebra.
Yeah, I got the fun part. So, as you're all aware, impact fees attempt to capture future costs associated with additional demands that will be placed on our system. My goal in this part of our presentation is to walk you through the steps we went through to get to our new impact fee schedule. The equation on this slide summarizes the impact fee calculation. Basically, it just adds together the estimated cost of future growth on our current resources, along with the estimated proportional cost of future capital projects that will be needed to accommodate this growth. When we consider future system growth, we use call volume as the measurement. This calculation shows that our future call volume will be at over 19,000 calls per year. This means that the increase in future call volume attributed to new growth is about 20% over where we are right now. When determining future resources, we first consider our current apparatus and facilities, and these resources are summarized on this list. You will see that we currently own 4 stations, 8 engines, 5 8 cars, 2 ladders, and 3 miscellaneous apparatus. Next, we consider the projected growth in various land use categories. This slide outlines estimates of future development and is broken out by units for residential land use and square footage for other land uses. Now that we have our base data in place, we can begin to work on the equation that I showed you when I began my portion of this presentation. Recall that the calculation was the sum of the impact of future growth on our current resources plus an estimate of future capital costs needed to address this future growth. On this slide, we're focusing on the first half of the equation, and what it's doing is calculating the cost impact of future growth on our current system. Costs apply to both apparatus and fire stations, and the impact of these costs is proportioned by dividing incidents into the land uses that are expected to experience growth. This slide, which begins to address the second half of the equation, summarizes the capital improvements necessary to address future growth, along with the proportion of these costs that can be allocated toward impact fees. As you can see, additional capital assets needed include 2 engines, 3 8 cars, a new brush truck, a new tender, 1 additional fire station, and costs associated with either renovating or replacing 2 existing fire stations and headquarters, a logistics and maintenance facility, and finally, new training grounds. In this slide, we continue with the second half of the equation by allocating capital improvements to each land use type to arrive at the per unit cost for each one. Because we now know the unit cost of growth that will impact both current and future assets, in this slide, we're simply adding these together to determine the impact fee rate. I wish I could stop here, but to borrow the words of the late Steve Jobs, there's always happens to be just one more thing. And Tim kind of referenced this. By statute, the impact fee for residential land use must now be blended rather than segregated between single and multifamily use. To accomplish this, we have taken the unit cost by type and proportionally combined them. The result is a blended impact fee for all residential use types. The final consideration is that residential impact fees are now charged on a square footage basis rather than on a per unit basis. This allows for an equitable distribution of cost impact because larger residential units will now have to pay a proportionally higher impact fee than ones charged on a smaller unit. That being said, a minimum residential impact fee has also been calculated based on the average occupancy and dwelling size within our service area. Having said that, I'll turn this back to Tim.
Thank you. So based on this work, our revised impact fee is shown here. as you can see, we moved from a per unit model to a per square foot model in line with changes in the law. And finally, this slide compares the impact fee rates for a 2,000 square foot residential dwelling across several jurisdictions. And you can see in orange our current fee, and then higher up the chart our calculated fees that we presented here tonight. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
I hesitate on this one because I'm nervous and maybe I missed something here. So thank you, DC Day and CFO Horowski, for your presentation. How is this going to affect affordable housing? That's my biggest fear right now.
Sure, absolutely. Let me answer that a couple different ways. The first is, I appreciate the legislature's attempts to make this proportional, meaning that the prior model was simply per door. The smaller house got charged the same as the big house. So now it's based more on square footage, which I think helps offset the potential impact of increasing costs for affordable housing. The second way, and this isn't satisfactory per se, is that we felt we were out of compliance with state law, and so we felt compelled to do this work. It's been a long time since it was done. We recently completed capital facilities plan, which is required to impose impact fees, and just simply had the need to do it. So we're sensitive, of course, to that issue, but felt organizationally that we had no choice.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions, council? Thank you guys very much.
I'm sorry, I do have a question.
Councilmember Sturgis.
So just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, so the current fee, so it's $290 per dwelling regardless of what size?
For single family.
For single family.
Yes.
And then it's gonna move to 72 cents per square foot.
Correct.
So let's say if it was 1,000 square foot, it'd be the $720 then. It'd be moving from the $290 to $720 would be
Yes.
the impact.
It-
Okay.
yes,
And then, but
yes.
if it's a 3,000 square foot, et cetera, it'd be more.
That's right.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I have the same question. So it's 290 per square foot, right? For a single-family dwelling. So the question that she asked, if anything was over 3,000 square foot, which I'm almost close to that, so would that be the 15,000? Or, 1,500.
Correct. So
Plus-
new construction. This applies to new construction.
new construction.
New construction, $72 per square foot.
72 cents.
72 cents. I'm sorry.
Panic.
New construction.
Panic,
Yeah.
Getting confused here.
That's right. And again, Mark and I talk about this too, and looking at city code, these impact fees are, and you can see this is a very thorough model that our consultant groups that we put together. This is the direct impact. We feel like we've successfully measured the direct impact of these housing units on the provision of fire and EMS. So it's accounting for the direct impact of those units on the services that we provide. So it's very directed, and for new construction again.
Thank you for clearing that. New construction.
Correct. Thank you.
And just to kind of further build on Deputy Chief's point there, because these fees are being applied to the new construction, as we're talking about, this will proportionally reduce the amount of taxes that we wind up levying on our existing homeowners and businesses to cover our future capital needs. So it's shifting the costs of growth onto the causes of growth, rather than shifting the costs of growth onto our existing tax base. So it really truly is more equitable.
Councilmember Sturgis.
How is that billed? Does it go through title and escrow, or is it on their first property tax bill, or how does
This is actually part of the permit fee process. So
Okay, great.
It's done right at the beginning of the development.
Thank you.
Any other questions, council? Councilmember Baldwin.
Yeah, I remember you guys recently had your Prop 1 levy, correct? For people who were supporting that before, and to my recollection, that did pass and go through.
Yes.
Where would you call out differences between what you'll be receiving and able to do with that levy passing versus what we have within the capital improvement plan? Sorry.
So this is kind of a look forward, to take a step back to look at the levy that was passed. That was a look at the point in time with our capital facilities plan. These fees are now looking us forward into the 2040s. So we're kind of looking at, what happens after we're done in 2028, 2030. It's kind of for the next, really truly the next decade of growth. And that's what these attempt to address.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I wanted to make sure people would understand the context of one versus the other, particularly since that wasn't so far back in our history in the community. But I do think that as we have more houses being built in Auburn, as we have more residents coming into the community, that they're going to want to make sure that there is support in case there were any emergencies or fires at their properties and locations. And so unfortunately, I think that does sometimes require the ability to make sure that we can afford to have those stations and equipment to be able to provide that response. So thank you for bringing this forward and for approaching it in a more equitable fashion. So.
Thank you guys very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So council, next on our council discussion is Resolution 5860 with City Attorney Whalen.
And the resolution amending the City of Auburn fee schedule to adjust for 2026 fees is compiled by legal, but it largely reflects different departments. So you're welcome to the dais. Directors Crum, Kruger, and Gallup.
Thank you. It is that most wonderful time of the year, again, where we look at fees. As Paul mentioned, Directors Kruger, Galb, and myself are going to speak to some of the items in the fee schedule, since the vast majority of those fees really are from our respective departments. So just to do kind of a general overview, in years past, the council has desired to move towards a cost recovery model for a lot of our development fees and services. So each year, that is something that all departments consider as part of proposed fee updates. So in accordance with kind of that practice, this year's fees are proposing across the board a general increase of 3%, which is consistent with Seattle Tacoma-based consumer price index increases over the past year. Wanted to call attention to another item, which is our technology fee. So back in 2022, City Council adopted a recommended 3% technology fee, and that was to recover costs associated specifically with City of Auburn moving towards our partnership with the eCity Gov Alliance and mybuildingpermit.com, which we had heard from development community that they wanted us to pursue. And so we moved in that direction back in 2022. We were informed this year that mybuildingpermit.com is doing some front-end service upgrades to their system, much needed upgrades, which as a partner member, we will have a unexpected cost to cover as part of that. Now, in theory, MVP, once they've implemented this this new system, they won't need as much regular maintenance. So over time, our cost sharing is projected to decrease, but in an effort to make sure that we're collecting enough money to kind of pay for those expenses, we're proposing an additional 1% technology fee this year. So increasing our 3% technology fee up to 4%. And then for those that don't know, the Master Builders Association of King and Snohomish County had provided a letter of support to the city of Auburn back in 2022 when we first entered into that agreement, that they supported a technology fee of between 3% and 5%. So we've been pretty responsible with, not applying more of a technology fee than we needed to recover our costs, and that's kind of where we're at today. Also wanted to point out, kind of before moving on to some of the other areas of the fee schedule, that there's a fee in our fee schedule that applies an hourly rate. It's throughout and applies to certain applications where if a review has gone over 3 reviews, so if we've needed to go through a 4th, 5th, et cetera review, that an additional hourly fee is assessed. And that's really just, again, to recover costs that go above and beyond what we assume would be a typical review cycle. So that fee is also proposed to increase here at a rate beyond that 3%. But we took the time this year to look at updated costs for salaries and benefits for our staff who on average would be expending their time throughout this review process, and then accounting for overhead costs to try to get a most accurate and up-to-date hourly rate for our team. So that is what's proposed in here. A couple other items just for the community development fees. I wanted to note our SEPA checklist review fees. We did update those this year. We're proposing to, rather than have one SEPA review fee, to split it out between residential fees and commercial development. So you'll see in that fee schedule that the residential fee will see a reduction in the typical SEPA application fee, whereas commercial will increase. And you also may recall that earlier this year we updated our SEPA exemption thresholds so that over time we will likely see less SEPA applications than we would have in the past. So I think that probably covers the ones I wanted to.
Okay, so for Public Works, probably the biggest change that's in there is our traffic impact fees. So if you all recall the conversations that we had in June and July on the traffic impact fees and the adjustments and the changes that we were making. So the fee structure that is proposed in the update before you includes all of those same changes we discussed back in July, and the council then adopted the code changes necessary for that at the August 4th meeting. So those changes included increasing some of the transparency in how that fee is calculated. So there's a rather significant change in there, several pages worth, because we've included all of those factors that we discussed with you in the table as well, so that anybody looking at the fees can actually see how is that fee generated. We also included, you recall, we made the adjustments to address the city's comprehensive plan update, as well as addressed the non-motorized factor that we needed to bring into the traffic impact fee, so that we are collecting fees that we can then use to do non-motorized improvements. And in addition, we looked at that district for the downtown area versus the non-downtown area, so that we could look at how can we incentivize and or make the development in the downtown more desirable, especially since our comprehensive plan was focusing significant growth in that downtown area. How do we address that? So in that fee looked at all of those things and came up with, overall, generally the fee is roughly about the same as what it was prior to, so for 2025, 2024. But how those adjustment factors apply, depending upon whether you're in downtown or outside of downtown, that changes what those specific fees might be for a particular location. In addition, you recall earlier this year, we adopted the proportional rate change for the single-family homes so that those homes that are lower than the 1,717 square feet pay a per square footage rate for the size of the home. That continues to remain in this proposed fee schedule. Anything that's over that 1,717 square feet, which is the average single-family home size for Auburn, pays the full fee. They don't pay an increased fee for that. We basically capped it at that individual fee. And then also in July, we discussed with you that we would be working on several things that we needed to get in place for when these fees actually go effective at the beginning of the year in January. We're still working through those things. So one of those is updating the webpage for TIF with a better explanation and more transparent information on there, as well as supporting tools and that fee calculator tool on the website. So we're still working on all of those with the intent of having those done and completed by that January 1 timeframe. Some other normal changes that you would normally see in here is you would normally see us updating our SDCs for our utilities to match the construction price index for the Seattle area. We did not do that with this update, and that is because we are currently working on a utility rate study for all three of the utilities, and that utility rate study includes looking at the SDCs. So you may see us come back later this year with an additional fee update to address those SDCs once we complete that study and we go through the process of discussing that with council and the changes that might be proposed in that. And that is basically to true that back up, similar to what you heard from fire, true that back up with where our comprehensive plan program for the next 20 years set our programs for those three utilities. And the last thing I wanted to mention on there is that for our airport, we did go through some rate increases for our hangars and for our tie downs that were discussed with the Airport Advisory Board on September 17th, and they recommended approval of those. Those changes did include a fairly significant increase for tie downs, which we have not updated in a very long time. And that was because we needed to make sure that those tie downs are competitive with other airports within the region, especially as we have the development occurring on the south end of the airfield, and our number of tie downs are going to reduce, so they're going to be in a little bit higher demand than what we've normally seen in the past. So we chose this time to try to make that tie down fee match more similarly with what we're seeing in other areas and with other airports. I think that summarized the public works items.
Yeah. So for parks, we did a pretty major update to facility rental fees last year, so we didn't make many changes this year. I do want to note for the cemetery, I'm going to note it on page 112 because it stood out to me when I was looking at it. We added a new plot, upright plot option for Rainier Serenity upright plot. It was not $29.95. It didn't exist before, but when we made that update, it was taking the all other adult graves at that $29.95. That's the price it was pulling, but that's not, they're brand new, and so that price is higher than what is on the strike through. I just wanted to call that out because it stands out, so I just want to make that clear. We added on page 117 for the postmark some lower level classroom rates because we didn't have the lower level finished, so we've added that. We changed the Game Farm Wilderness Day Camp area. A lot of people are using that area now as a picnic shelter instead of just the day camp that it was intended to, and so we've now structured that price to be the same as a picnic shelter price point. And then we're looking to add a golf facility improvement fee. It's a very minimal fee outside of the green fees, and it's a method used by a few other courses to help fund minor capital improvements. The fee provides a consistent form of funding by users that benefit from the capital improvement at the course. If approved, you'd also see this fee as part of the upcoming budget amendment to create the new capital facility project that captures the revenue from this fee. It's estimated to be about $100,000 a year. And that's all I have from the Parks, Arts, and Recreation side.
So with
Any
that,
questions?
Council, go ahead. Councilmember Troutman.
Yes, my question has been asked of me because we had money put aside for putting up that big fence, the wiring along where the students go and practice. and they borrowed that money. We had money put aside for that, and they borrowed it. And we were just wondering, when is that going to be brought back to the golf course?
I think you may be referencing the driving range project that was put on hold for the theater,
Right.
for funds for the theater. So I don't know. Hopefully in future budget cycles, but I think I wasn't here when that got presented back to council as this or that. So I would hope to come back to council someday for a driving range. This small fee that's being collected, it's $3 for a tournament, $2 for 18 rounds, and $1. Will fund minor capital improvements like improvements to greens and tee boxes and cart paths and bunkers. So not the type of funding that would be needed for a driving range.
Okay, they just wanted to make sure.
I know they want, they're very eager to have a driving
Yes.
range. I hear it all the time, yes.
Okay.
Councilmember Tracy Taylor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Director Kruger, Crum, and Galb. My question sits with traffic impact fees. We've talked about this a lot lately. One of which I'm curious to know what that impact development cost will be for like non-downtown and downtown development.
So it depends upon the type of development because of all the different factors that play into that. If you want to look at, I think it's page 80 in your set, you can see kind of that comparison between the non-downtown rate and the downtown fee rate for a single-family home detached. So this would be for the full size over 1,717 square feet. The non-downtown is about 6,600, just a little above. The downtown is at about 4,193, so a fairly significant reduction for that downtown rate. And then obviously if you're smaller than that 1,717, the rate you're going to pay in the downtown is based on $244 per square foot versus the $385 per square foot. And then there's also the additional factor of proximity to transit. So both of those can lower those fees even further for each of those. So it really depends upon where you're at in the city and how close you are to that transit. Remember, we're using the map in the comprehensive plan that sets that transit level of service, so that basically those areas that are within that transit level of service 1, which is going to be the areas of downtown for the most part, around the station, as well as where the Rapid Ride I-Line is going to be here in the near future, I think early 2027 is when they'll have that implemented. So anything within that area of level of service 1 for that transit is going to have that ability to tap into that lower fee as well.
Fabulous, thank you.
Could I add to that? Because this also speaks to the question that was brought up before about how those impact fees impact housing development. And we had heard, as we were exploring kind of the different methodology for coming up with impact fees for that proportionality piece, from the development community, they had really recommended that if you move to a cost per square foot model, it really provides an opportunity to incentivize smaller units, so more potential middle housing, because then your impact fees are proportional based on that size. So from our perspective, the development community is on board and supportive of that approach.
Fabulous. Thank you.
This question is, I think, for Ingrid. So I'm looking at the land use, all the land use that you have down, and as we're trying to grow downtown and bring in more nightlife, I don't see a category for breweries or bars. I see a marijuana dispensary.
And thank you I forgot to mention that. So if you actually look within the detail in there, we've written in there the requirement that if something is not on that list, we've explained to the applicants what do they do. So just because it's not on this list doesn't mean it can't be done.
Okay.
It just means that it's not a typical use that we have seen. And so it hasn't been necessarily included in the list from the ITE manual. But there are other classifications very long list of other classifications outside of what's listed in this table that is within that ITE manual. And if it's something that isn't in the ITE manual, then part of the code improvements that the council adopted earlier this year gives us the ability to work with those applicants to actually develop what might be a reasonable fee for that development if it doesn't fit any of those classifications. So outside of having to do an independent fee study. They have the option to do the independent fee study as well, which would be hiring a consultant to do some work, but there's also additional ability for us to work with them to come up with a reasonable fee.
Okay, except for if someone wanted to look this up and wanted to look up the information and they couldn't find that information on that, and we're trying to bring those businesses in.
So if you look at the bottom of page 87, the last note number 7 there, it talks about properties types that are not listed. To basically that we can use the ITE manual, but it also gives them the phone number to contact us and call us and talk with us.
Okay. Okay, council, any more questions? Councilmember Trout, Manuel.
This is for parks. With the World Cup coming to Seattle, are we ready to have them come into our community to use some of our fields? And I'm referring to the restrooms, because I know we have a lot of old restrooms in our parks. Are we ready to welcome these people? Or any big organization that comes to our city.
Yeah, I think we've taken steps to try to address some of the issues at the restrooms, but we wouldn't have a new restroom facility at our park to accommodate when the World Cup comes. If those fields are used, we would take steps based on who was renting that field to determine what level and layer of resources we would need to try to keep our bathrooms to a degree of cleanliness that we would expect for that renter.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking is because it's not just the one at Game Farm Park. I'm also talking about the veterans bathroom. They don't have doors on the bathrooms, and I needed to go in there and use it. And I felt very uncomfortable with just using it and not having a door there.
Yeah, we have ordered doors and tried to replace them, and then when they get replaced, they get ripped off again. So it's really hard to keep up with the amount of vandalism that happens in our restroom facilities. Yeah, it's really an unfortunate ongoing situation that it's a harder solution than, if I could post a staff member there all the time, that would be what it would take to keep the restrooms in usable conditions.
Well, thank you for the transparency.
Yeah, nice. I talk about bathrooms more in this position than I thought I would.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you one more time to staff for your work on the impact fees, particularly being able to build the website, have the calculator, make it so that it's something where if businesses are excited to come to Auburn, they can very easily have a good starting point for finding ways that we can be flexible to have different payment plans and different options and, be more transparent with how the credit process works. And it was no small endeavor. And so thank you for helping us be a little bit more competitive with some of those neighboring downtowns that are trying to get that same business we are. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sturgis.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just as a follow-up, I guess for our municipal services special focus area group should that be, it just doesn't feel like the Councilmember Trout's question was relevant to the fee schedule discussion. And so should we add that to a future SFA meeting as far as looking at potential budgeting and for park maintenance to have the resources and the funding they would need in order to look at potential solutions for the bathrooms in the future? Because it doesn't seem like it would involve in this conversation.
Yeah, I think we could discuss it in our special focus area.
Because we would need additional resources. Right. We already have the maintenance cost for it, and that just doesn't seem like it's part of a fee schedule conversation. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Ammer.
I just want to add another bathroom. If there is any plan, capital, to get bathroom to the wilderness camp, because you said people talk about bathroom.
I have to agree
We
on
have a
that one.
topic on our, we'll add that to our next
You
group.
know which camp I'm talking, the amazing hidden treasure. One of our best day camp shelter. You can have a party, you own space there. Thank you. But think about the bathroom.
Any other questions, council?
Well, no.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Can we sit up here?
So council, on our very last item tonight, is ordinance 6995 with Director Crum.
Thank you again, Deputy Mayor. And tonight, Planning Services Manager Alexandria Teague will be providing a quick overview of this moratorium extension.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, Council, and Mayor. Well, you know my name, Alexandria Teague, Planning Services Manager, and I'll be presenting a request to extend the moratorium authorized under Ordinance 6978 on energy storage systems for a second 6-month period. And my presentation starts on page 180 of your packet and continues to page 194. Okay, so staff introduced Ordinance 6978 to City Council at the April 20th study session meeting, outlining the need to place a moratorium on all energy storage systems except for residential use of small-scale BESS, as we call them, systems. Council held a public hearing, deliberated, and adopted findings of fact per state regulations on moratoria and interim zoning controls. This authorized the establishment of the moratorium on said ordinance, which went into effect May 5th, 2025. So now staff is requesting council to adopt another 6-month extension on the moratorium to allow for additional time to complete the code update and due process required for code adoption. As part of our due diligence, we've even hosted a roundtable with industry leaders to discuss the concerns of the community and the need for regional resiliency for our energy grid. So at this meeting, there were actually representatives from the local electrician union, trades union, Puget Sound Energy, Valley Regional Fire Authority, and the Muxer Indian Tribe. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anyone. And the discussion covered topics such as current and future need for these systems, the job or economic impact, and how BESS impacts our existing grid system, and how it will help our Auburn's and the state's energy needs in the future. Adopting an extension of the moratoria will allow staff to continue developing the code. It will allow us to incorporate public comment and industry leaders' feedback. It will also allow us to right-size this new code for Auburn. Not just adopt a code that's reactionary, but a code that is forward-thinking for these systems. And once we have a solid draft in place, we will need the time to really get into the weeds with our planning commission. We'll hold meetings and then a public hearing. So the time needed to coordinate with outside parties, refine the code, discuss with planning commission. In that time needed, the moratorium established under 6978 will expire. So if this ordinance 6995 is adopted, staff proposes the following revised work program in compliance with state regulations related to moratoria and interim zoning controls. We expect adoption of the code by the end of, We expect adoption of the code by the end of March 2026. And a little bit of deviation, we actually expect to take a first draft or start the conversation with Planning Commission in December of this year. And so staff's recommendation is for council to schedule ordinance 6995 for action on October 20th.
Council, do you have any questions?
Oops.
You're getting off scot-free.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Well, council, we reached the end of this agenda, so I am going to adjourn